Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, we're going to be painting this river rock landscape. We're going to simplify it using an analogous color scheme, and I'll show you how to do it. It's from start to finish tonight. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to chat during this video, so you can ask questions, and yeah, let's get started. All right, I always forget how short that intro is. I'm like waiting here. Crickets. Okay, here, I'm gonna move my kitty so you can see him. He's so cute. I know. Just sitting. All right, so what?
Just doop-a-doo.
I know. Welcome. Hi, guys. Hope you're having a good evening. We're in a weird mood, apparently, so that's okay. Bear with us. We're working through this live, so you get to see the whole process. We'll be talking and, like I said, answering questions, and hopefully you'll learn something, maybe. Get inspired to try painting yourself. We're using acrylics, and I'm using a Fredrix mixed media canvas board for my canvas. This is 9x12 size, and I've painted it with a very light coat of burnt sienna, just a tiny little dollop of it, a little bit of glazing liquid to make it stick better to the canvas, and then water, and just wiped it on with a paper towel, and that's what we have here. So very, very light coat. Don't go too dark with it. I just want a light orange for underneath our background. So we're going to be using neutrals and blues. Analogous just means next to each other on the color wheel, which if I could find the color wheel, I'd show you, but I guess I don't know where my color wheels are. All of them are missing. Where I must have put them somewhere to organize them.
Did you take them out there when you were working on your stuff?
No, I don't know where they are. That's so weird. I usually keep them right
April
here.
Fools, I took them all to work.
Off to the side. Maybe
No,
put them in
okay.
one of these. I don't know. Anyhow, well, we'll just pretend like I'm showing you. Like Phthalo blue, Ultramarine Blue, and purple right next to each other on the color wheel. I'm serious. I have no idea where my color wheels have gone. I have like 4 of them, and they're all missing. So, oh well. We're just gonna pretend like like you're seeing a color wheel here. So the colors that we're gonna be using are burnt umber. Can you switch?
Oh, I can.
Thanks. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow oxide, phthalo blue green shade, ultramarine blue, and Dioxazine purple. So all 3 of those are right next to each other on the color wheel. The mysterious missing color wheels. Unbleached titanium, titanium white, and glazing liquid, fluid glazing, satin glazing fluid. All right, I am like
Got
out
a
of
question.
it now.
Somebody wants to know, would Ultramarine Blue Deep work?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of start sketching on here. And, oh, you can't see my palette there. Let me move up my image or make it a little smaller. You can't see it at all. Let me work on that really quick, because you need to be able to see what colors I'm doing. Hey, there we go. There it is. Let me see if I can. There we go. All right, close enough.
It's a good night so far.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I'm going to divide my canvas into thirds. The top third is going to be the sky and mountain, and then the whole bottom 2/3 is going to be the river and rocks. That's the star here. So I'm just going to kind of make a line across for my water line. And generally in water, you want it to be completely straight. With this one, we've got a little bit of like the riverbank cutting in on the sides that's creating a slight diagonal, but right here at where the shoreline meets the mountain, it is definitely straight there and slightly curved on the 2 sides here. So our focal point area is going to be kind of a little bit in this area right here. So that's kind of the opening. Maybe move it over just a little bit more. So there's the opening in our trees, and that's just that little bit of sliver of river that is kind of tucking back and going out this way. This is the Buffalo River in Arkansas. This photo taken by a friend of ours, Brandon. Thank you to him.
So it's a river sliver?
River sliver of river, yeah. All right, so there's a little bit of mountain there, and I need to... Okay, you can move that back there out of the way. Thank you. There'll be 2 trees here, but I'm not going to really do those. I'm just going to maybe like put the sort of indication of where those start. It's kind of angled in right there. And then these cliff sides kind of come up underneath. So this is like actual trees here. It's not a straight line. And then the cliffs come up. This is really, really pretty. These bluffs here, and people go down in canoe down in this area. It's a really kind of like very mellow, meandering river, so it's not, you know, it's great for tubing and stuff. My sons go down every year to do it. We haven't. We're kind of past that. I don't know.
Nope.
No, yeah, exactly. A lot of nope. All right. And then the rocks, the biggest kind of focal points of the rocks are going to be really kind of almost straight in the middle here. So there's 2. There's kind of one right here and another one right here. And then a large one here. And they're going to make kind of this diagonal shape right here, coming down, leading the eye down. And the bottoms of these should be pretty flat, except for these ones that we're seeing like the tops of them. But these ones that we're seeing from the side, that's kind of the key to making these work, is to just keep them looking flat. And they're going to get smaller as they approach our vanishing point here. So make sure that we're keeping that in mind. I mean, unless you've got this huge rock formation, right? But if all these rocks being generally the same size, they're all going to get much smaller as they approach that horizon line there. All right, so these will be a bunch of little rocks. This is, little rock, didn't mean to, little Arkansas humor there. Did not mean to pun away there. Then there's another, you missed my pun.
I'm sorry, do it again.
I don't remember what I said, something about little rock. And yeah, it was a mistake. It was an accident pun.
Those are the best.
I know. Okay, so there we go. There's our rocks, and as we get up here, there's not going to be any definition in any of the rocks. All right. Yeah, that looks good. So I had a little white left on my palette knife here. I'm just going to use that and mix up the white for our sky. We're going to start with the blue though, so let me wipe this down and get our blue. So the blue for this whole area here is going to be kind of a mid-tone blue. So I'm going to use Phthalo blue and Ultramarine blue, almost 50-50-ish. It really is not going to matter one way or another. Might go a little bit more to the Phthalo blue side for the sky, just because it's looking kind of green-ish, you know. And then I'm going to put just a tiny touch of burnt umber in there just to neutralize it slightly so it's not like a super bright sunny day. It is a sunny scene, but it's still got like a wintry cast to the sky, and generally winter skies have a little bit of gray in them. Just generalizing. So let me scoop that up. So now I've got a nice dark brown, or not dark blue. I don't know why I'm saying brown there. Okay. Dark blue. And I'm just going to take what's left on my palette knife here and mix it with this white and see what we've got. All right, so that's a nice mid-tone blue, just like really middle of the road. I think that'll work. I'm going to get more of that white. I'm scooping it off to the side so I don't like contaminate the whole thing of white there. And I want it to go slightly light-ish for the sky. It's not super dark, so I want it to keep it, a lot of times our sky is going to be one of our lightest values. And then the surfaces that are lit, that are flat, are going to be your second lightest value generally. But, you know, it depends. This is in a landscape, so that I'm talking about. All right, let's get my brush here. I'm going to be using a 8 flat, really any kind of flat brush that'll fit in the area on your canvas. Get asked about, you know, sizes of brushes, and basically you just want to size it so that it's comfortable in the area that you're painting, you know. So but I go larger rather than smaller. You know, I'd rather size a little bit too big than too small, because it just takes much longer. Okay, so I'm going to load up the brush, just kind of flipping it over back and forth till I get it loaded pretty well through, but I don't have it gummed up really thick with paint. Getting a little bit of water just to help smooth it out, and I'm going to spray my palette here just to keep my paints wet and get a little bit more white here so that I have a little bit of lighter blue to work right up against the mountains. I can already tell it's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to get a little bit more white there, put that right up against the mountains, go back and forth, and I'm going to go up over my tree line because we're going to sprinkle those trees on this area, so we want the sky to show through behind them. This is winter, so they're very bare. Although we're coming into spring now, so this was supposed to be painted last month, so I was sick and got pushed back to April, so we're not.
Yep, not an April Fool's joke.
Not in winter anymore. Yeah, exactly. And if you came here to watch Mark paint, I'm sorry.
I didn't post anything in the group. No, I forgot about it.
Oh, shoot.
I was going to post in the Thankful Art group that I was
That he was painting.
tonight,
Yeah.
but Angela wouldn't let me.
I did not. I didn't say anything about it.
Well,
I was like, okay, fine.
Okay, let's switch.
We get a little bit more phthalo blue and put that
And she changes the subject.
right, right around here. I don't have time for this. I got a big painting to do. This has got a lot of details, so.
How about I paint, you look for the color wheels?
Yeah. Did you look for them?
I generally look
I think
around,
they're
but
in one of these. I think they're in one of these somewhere. These. Oh, yep, there they are right there. They're hiding.
she's so organized.
Yeah.
Hid them from yourself.
I did. I know. I was like, I got these really nifty folders, and I was like, I'm gonna put them all in there, and then I forgot that I put them in there. I was just getting on to Mark for forgetting where he put the toilet paper. And I'm forgetting. Okay, so here's our analogous color scheme right here. We're going to be right in this range. Okay, there. That was anticlimactic.
Okay, we'll cut that portion out. Put it at the beginning of the video.
Thank you.
We'll do that in post.
Okay. All right, so that's good. Good enough. And he did not stress about that. All right, then for a mountain that is right behind there, I'm going to get a little bit more of the Ultramarine Blue maybe. And we'll want to be just slightly darker than the sky color. So if I could, put those side by side, I can see that that's a little bit darker there. I might go a little bit lighter than that. And I'm just going to put in that distant mountain right here. Bring it up just a little bit more. And just go across there with that. This will dry a little bit darker than what it is right now, so. Okay. Looks good. So just like one slight value darker for our mountain. And then I'm going to use the same color for my little trees here. And I think I'm going to use a blender for that. So I'm going to just dab in. This is a blender brush from Princeton, VelvetTouch. I have a list on Blick and on Amazon of the brushes that I use the most in my videos. So if you're interested in that, also the Brush Guys has a beginner set that is discounted quite well. So it's one of the better prices. You use the code Angela Fine Art to get a discount when you check out. I think it's 5%, something like that.
Yes. And all that's down below in the description.
Right, yeah. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. All right, so just gonna go like that. And then right in front of the mountain, it's gonna get a little bit darker. So, but there's kind of two layers sort of in here of the dark foliage. So I'm gonna start there, and then we'll put our darker color in after. That'll get us a good start there on our distant trees. And then I'm going to get a little bit, pick up a little bit of that blue, mix that in there. If you want, you can put a little yellow in this to make it a little bit more green, but I was checking the colors and they're not actually green, or if it is, it's very faint. So I think your eye kind of interprets the colors. I mean, there might be just slightly greenish. So we could add a little bit of yellow to this to make our blues a little bit more green. I'm going to go ahead and before this dries, before this sky color dries, I want to use it in my water. So I'm going to come back to the trees here. I don't want to get too far ahead here before I do this, because I want to use the same colors as the water in my sky, or in the sky and water should be the same color. I am having trouble with words today. It's okay.
It's the allergy meds.
What?
It's the allergy meds.
I think you're right. Brain is not working. All right, getting a little bit of the glaze just to help the paint go on a little bit smoother. You could wet the canvas down a little bit if you wanted to too. And I'm going fairly dark here. I will come back in and lighten this up and add my highlights, but right now I'm just adding my darkest color. And kind of going over most of the rocks. We'll put those back in later. I'm just wanting to get that blue in there. And putting this on side to side, so if there is any streaking, it will kind of show up as if we meant to do it. Kind of the movement of the water sort of does the diagonal.
The ripples.
What?
The ripples.
Yeah, ripples. Mm-hmm. Oak doke. That's good. And then kind of it sort of changes to greenish blue down here. Okay, that's good enough. Let's go ahead and go back to this color here. This color mixed in with my sky color, so I'm just going a little bit darker than what I already had there. These are drying out really fast tonight. I'm gonna keep up with those and spray them. Yep, that's good. So just a little bit darker. I'm just using the corner of the brush here to create little spiky trees. I'm just tapping, that's all you need to do. Your eye will fill in the rest. You don't have to put the branches or any details this far back. We can't really see them anyways, so we're just tapping. If you get that kind of fuzzy look, your eye kind of knows, oh, that's, you know, it just interprets it for you. So I want to maybe change the angle here and bring that up just a little bit right in that area. Just kind of comes straight over, and then there's a couple of taller trees that sort of break up this vertical drop. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll just kind of fill in back here with that. Fill in all of this. And just scrubbing it in and leaving some of that orange from the background, that burnt sienna color kind of to show through. A little bit here and there. We'll go a little bit darker and do that kind of back area right in there. And then there's the edge of my bluff there. So I'll start with the bluff here in that area later. That looks good. And so I'm going to use this main color and I'm going to add a little bit of purple to it. I'm going to use that for my bluff, and it's going to kind of come up like that. And then it's not going to be this dark, obviously, but I'm just going to start out with a dark color and then we can lighten it up. Okay, so that looks good. There, I'll go ahead and use this color over here. Maybe a little bit more of the blue, maybe even get a little bit of burnt umber. Mix that in, have a little bit more of a neutral color over here. It's kind of more shadowed. This area's got a little bit more sun, so I'm just gonna kind of do like that and scrub that in right there. Right. And then there's a little bit of this color, but maybe it's faded a little bit over here. So I'm gonna get a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium. This brown is that purple blue mixture. So I've got that original blue mixture that was the Phthalo blue and Ultramarine blue with a tiny touch of burnt umber. Then I added the purple to do that part, and then I added burnt umber to it to do this color. And now I'm adding Unbleached Titanium to this brown color for this tree line here. Look how green that looks. Isn't that amazing? That it kind of turned green with that addition of more burnt umber with that purple. So that's nice because that's really kind of the color that I'm seeing here. Anyways, this is good, and I'm gonna leave it mostly that burnt sienna. Actually shouldn't have covered up so much of it down here at the shoreline. Let me see if I can get that off, because down here it's kind of, well, no, I took it off. We'll just add it back in. Yeah, so then I'm gonna maybe get a little bit of that sky blue color and add it in for some of the tops of the trees here, like a highlight on them. Nice. And then let's get some of that burnt sienna and some unbleached titanium. Tap that in at the shore edge. Dog wants out of the studio. Huh? Yeah, in and out, in and out. All right, getting a little bit more of that gray from before. Tossing that in, scrubbing it in, and just trying to kind of blend out my edges so this all kind of stays sort of fuzzy looking. I'm not trying to really define anything really hard. No hard edges. Get some white, mix that in with that blue, and coming up here, just going to add some of that in on my mountain, coming down. And then right here where the trees and the cliffs start, there's some of that darker color. So I'm just kind of picking up some of that. Not quite the burnt umber, not all the way to that color, just a little bit of it, and mix it in with that blue that I already had used. Okay, so there we go. Nice dark edge of our tree line meeting our mountain. And then like right there, that's kind of a light blue. Tucked way back there. Okay. Good enough. Okay, let me get some of that light gray and kind of put it in my distant area there. Just try to kind of soften off this whole area a little bit. The more blended and desaturated it is, the farther away it'll look. So I'm going to get some of that burnt sienna color and add it to those trees back there just to give them a little bit of warmth. Fitzpickle is being a pill tonight. He was grumbling about this show before I even started. He was grouchy. My dog. All right, so I'm going to mix that burnt sienna color with the blue color. This is that blue, light blue sky color, and a little bit of the white. And I'm just going to go in here on my tree line and add a little bit of indication of some trees in here. I'm just kind of scrubbing in circles here to kind of get that kind of feel. Okay, that looks good enough. And this area back here, same deal, sort of. I've already kind of done it back there, but just sort of softening off that area. And then we'll put in up here, I'll get a little bit of my blue, and I'm just going to kind of put in, these are sticks, so they're kind of leafless trees, but I'm going to go ahead and sort of just lightly fuzz out those areas so that I have very little paint in my brush, so it's almost going on like a cloud would, just to kind of create that dusting of color where those trees are going to be. Okay, so that's good. Woo, didn't mean to do that color. Got some of that orange left in my brush. I wanted that color that I was just using. That color, I'm going to use it over here too, just at the top of these trees, just to soften off that horizon or that edge. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to bring that up a little bit more and maybe bring my darker color up a little higher up here. Okay. That looks good. Okay. Let me get my blue, my dark color, and I'm going to kind of bring it up into here and darken up the centers of those trees where they're coming up. So one's coming this way and one's coming straight up this way. So just kind of darken up where the middle of them are. And then have a little bit of darker color sort of where it's coming out over the water right there. Okay, and just scrubbing off that bottom edge. Okay, 30 minutes. All right, we're good. I need to work fast on this though, because there's a lot to do, a lot of details, and so I'm trying to simplify as much as I can. So I'm going to get a little bit of the Ultramarine Blue with my white, and I'm going to mix in some of that blue from before. So I'm going a little bit more purpley like the mountain is here. And let's just kind of mark in our vertical areas. I'll probably go back in and glaze this because this I can already tell is going to be too bright. So maybe I'll go a little darker instead. Just kind of start with the mid-tone instead of that bright color. Save that bright color for my highlights. There we go. Wipe it off. Okay, so it starts to go pretty light right in here. But there's these kind of dark vertical lines that I don't want to lose. And I don't want to go too much into my trees, so gonna keep an eye on where your tree line is. Actually, this is my big drop there. That one goes, getting some more of that purpley toned color. So this behind it kind of comes this way. There we go. And then there's a big drop off here that comes across. And these are just these kind of sheer cliffs that have worn away over time, and you have these layers in there. Very similar to actually what we painted last week with those cactus. Only this one is, I don't know, whatever rock this is in Arkansas here. Is it limestone? Shale?
I think it's, limestone.
So I might go a little higher with this, looking at it against the picture. Might bring that up just a little bit more. Okay, I've switched to a 1/4 inch blender, by the way. And then I'm going to get a little bit of white on here, and now I'm going to find sort of the areas that I'm seeing the light hitting the rock the most and kind of hitting those. It's mostly on this side of them, so kind of trying to find those spots on the rocks and adding a little, just brushing my brush down a little quickly. Don't have a ton of paint on here. Just letting that texture of that really scruffy brush do the work. And if you don't have a brush like this, you can use kind of any kind of textured brush, or you can even use a flat brush, just as long as you've kind of spread out the bristles and make them be a little bit fuzzy for you. Okay, I might work on that. I feel like it'd be a little bit darker under here, so I'm going to get that darker purple color and create a kind of a background dark for where that comes down there. I'm trying to make that straight. And then there's a couple of really dark little bits right on that mountain. And this part can be a little higher than the mountain, or it's kind of like right on the level with it, I guess. There. Getting some more of the blue, the dark blue color. And this is going to be a matter of kind of going back and forth, creating layers and going over my purple with these blue colors, adding little highlights here and there until it starts to come together. Getting some unbleached titanium here, mixing that in with my blue. Do my highlights on this area with that. I'm kind of trying to keep my highlights sort of vertical, all these brush strokes sort of vertical as much as I can. Sometimes going horizontal if I want to show the rock edge.
So what level of difficulty would you say this is?
I mean, I wouldn't do this as my first painting, but if you've got a, you know, a pretty good grasp of, if you've done a couple landscapes where I've done some trees and things, then I think this would be a good next step. You know, I wouldn't jump into this unless you've done some trees and are comfortable with trees, because there's a lot of that, you know, if you're comfortable with the
medium.
Right. Yeah, it's sort of a medium beginner. It's not super, well, I don't know. You know, we haven't finished. I'm kind of trying to go a little bit more realistic than some of the others that we've done recently, so yeah, I would say it's in the moderately difficult range, something like that. Okay, so now I just went over that. I got some of that light blue, that kind of this blue here, and I had a little bit of that lighter color in, so it kind of made a mid-tone. And I just kind of went over all of this with a little bit of that, and it just sort of softens off everything, makes it all sort of merge and look sort of blendy. And that's kind of where I want to keep this. Don't want to get it much, because if you look at the picture from here, like, there's no detail there, and that's what we don't have to put in all the detail. That's what I'm trying to get at, you know, with this. We can leave it kind of blendy, and that is perfectly fine. All right, so that's good. I think it's a little purple, so I might come back in with more of my blue and fix that, but for the most part I like it. All right, so I'm going to get my dark blue and darken up my shoreline there. Okay, good. And then maybe use a little bit of that dark blue right here too. Okay. Let's go on to our trees. I'm going to get a little bit bigger brush for the trees. And we said we were using the burnt umber. Burnt umber with this blue here. And then we added the unbleached titanium to that to get that gray. It has some green in it somehow. I guess it's because this has yellow oxide in it, so it's making that, it's mixing with that blue. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back over our edge of our mountain now and create a few little areas where there's some foliage poking through like that, and do a little bit of it in there. And then I'm gonna get, I feel like it needs to be a little bit darker in through there, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit more of that ultramarine blue or burnt umber and mix it with this color here, and I'm gonna come in through and just kind of add a few little bits of darker color in and around. I've already got kind of some light areas, so I'm avoiding those, just kind of trying to come up underneath, add a little bit of darker color. That looks good. If I need it over here, I can do some more dark too, which I kind of think I do. Good. yeah, I think we've got a pretty close. I think I'm going to move this up just a little bit, this rock face here. Let me get up that high. Okay, we'll come back through and mess with that later, but I'm going to go ahead and use the same color. It's kind of light blue with green. I'm not really sure where I got this. I think it was the Unbleached Titanium mixed in with the sky color here. I'm going to use it on my shoreline. Over here, start to add my lighter color to my water over here. Flipping it over and just making sure I have my light color right at the tip here. I'm going to try to get a good line right underneath that dark there. Maybe get a little bit more white. There we go. Right there. Okay, then there's like a little bit of a break where that thing comes over, and then there's another. So there's like kind of where that comes out, there's like a little bit of dark line across in the water. And then I'm just going to scrub side to side here. And try to fill in some more of this water. And let that kind of skim across. You can see how it's breaking up on there. I'm dry brushing across here to get that look. So I don't want it to go on super solid. I want it to break up. It's got to be a little bit lighter than what I've already done. Right, and then in a few places I'm going to get some brighter white. And I want to do this before I do my rocks, because then I can paint on top of this and I don't have to worry about trying to do this later. It'd be a lot harder to get this kind of smooth, you know, look with all the rocks in between. There's some sparkle on the water here and there. And just practice and do what you know, the more you do this, the more you'll kind of develop your own sort of style for how you like to do water. You could use some zinc white if you wanted it to look a little bit more translucent. I'm just trying to capture the light here though and kind of create that little sparkly look going up, especially right up around the middle and where it's going away, and kind of creating this little light trail coming down here. Looks good. Okay, there's a little bit more, and you can do this as many times as you want and continue to, like, each time go a little bit lighter with the water. Right, that looks good. I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of sparkle right in here. And then let's fill in the rest of this water down here with the color that we'll be using. Okay.
Let's do that.
Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and go up here and finish this area up here on my trees. We're down toward the shoreline. There's just kind of grasses, so I'm kind of just pulling down there. I think. All right, that's good. I'm leaving lots of that burnt sienna color in there. Get a little bit of unbleached titanium with that burnt sienna and just come up, dab it. I've got the tip down, so I'm just kind of pulling up with that to create little grasses along the shoreline. Keep them real small, just little dabs. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's go in the water down here. I'm going to go ahead and I'll just keep this brush because I've already got it. Here I'm going to mix that burnt sienna color, maybe a little bit of yellow. Do this kind of muddy green that I'm seeing down here in the water. And there's other colors in here, but this will kind of just be sort of the starting place. I'm going to go ahead and just darken up this whole area. And I think I'm going to go with some of that blue right underneath some of the rocks. Maybe get some of that lighter blue, sort of merge them together. And I'm not going to worry about where my rocks are right now, just want to get some color down. So this will serve for shadows. So we've got a lot of dark around our rocks, so we need some dark to work with. Where those rocks are going to be. And we can come back in through with our white and our lighter colors to help, you know, once those rocks are in. And then up here I'm seeing a little bit more of that kind of rusty greenish color. Okay, it doesn't look like much. Got to kind of make it look ugly before we can make it look good, so it's sort of the rule of painting. It's always going to look worse before it looks better, so just kind of make a mess. Don't worry about it. We'll get it. We'll pull it together eventually. I promise. All right, so I think I want to just try to scoop up this blue as much as I can and save it off to the side. That's my sky color. And the rest of this I think can go. Got so much paint here. I need to have some room to work. Okay, so I've got plenty of that original blue left, which is good. I made a lot of it on purpose for this reason, because I knew we were going to need it. It's in everything. So it's kind of that blue color is sort of our master color for the whole painting. That dark blue there. Okay. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna put this back in where I'm seeing that blue from the sky. And try to kind of blend out where those two colors meet a little bit. So just kind of using that sky color to sort of blend off these rough edges here. make it easier when we do our rocks to have the water looking a little bit more smoothed out. So even though, you know, there's rocks and things breaking this up, we can still have some kind of smooth edges, and we'll put in our darkest values when we put in our rocks. We'll start there. Get a little bit of white. And there's kind of that blue color coming through here. Off to the side there. And again, kind of just, this is all going to be sort of underwater river rocks that are showing through. So, like this area and down here. And then this area up here is the sky that's reflecting on the water. So we're not seeing down into it as much. It's reflecting the sky back. Okay. I think that's pretty good. There's not a whole lot going on with the colors in here. I might add a little bit of that greenish color in the areas where the water shows. And that's just burnt sienna, yellow oxide mixed with this original blue color here. Okay. That looks good, believe it or not. Right, this is dry, so let's go ahead and do one more layer of just glaze. I'm going to take my blue and some glaze and just come up over, and this is transparent, so it's just kind of tinting everything on that mountain a little bit darker. And then I'm going to get some of the darker color, maybe a little bit of this grayish green, and just try to soften that off a little bit. Okay. Going back with a little bit of that brighter color. I don't know why I can't keep leaving this part alone, but it just keeps bugging me, so I'm just trying to get it to where I like it. Okay, we'll stop there. Hopefully. Alright, so let's go ahead and pick a brush that we want to use for our rocks. And I think I'm going to start with a small brush for the back, the farthest rocks. Make sure that you're happy with your water. So one thing I notice is like back there, I want right along my water line there, I want some white. So I'm just going to kind of mix in with this white. This is a 1 round. And I'm just going to hold it kind of on an angle. Very lightly drag it across to create that textured dry brush effect. The kind of more shallow that you do with your brush stroke, the more the surface will catch the brush and you'll get a softer line. Okay, so there we go. So for my rock color, I think I'm going to use this blue, but I'm going to darken it up with a little bit of purple and a little bit of burnt umber, or a lot of burnt umber. So I still want it to be sort of bluish, but a lot warmer. Blue-gray. Yeah, that looks good. It's really brownish gray. If I add white to it, you can see the color that I'm getting. It's like a really neutral gray. Okay, so for these first ones, I want them super tiny. Just little lines in the water way back there. And I want them straight. A little bit rounded on top, it can be fine, but I don't want them round all over. I want to keep them flat on the bottom. That is the key to doing rocks in the water. Unless you're looking straight down at them, pretty much going to be flat on the bottom where the water is leveled out against them. Okay. And keep your eye on this level. This is our straight line right here, right? So all these rocks should meet up with that. That's our plumb line or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but that's what I'm gonna think.
Your reference, your benchmark, your I don't know.
That's our line that we want to parallel.
Ooh.
Okay. Now, as we get closer, we're going to make our rocks bigger. So they're going to start to get bigger. And we can point the eye in. So I'm just very subtly doing these lines of rocks with this. And we'll have others to kind of break them up, but this is... This is what we're trying to do. Sort of lead the eye out into that point. It's our distant line. Okay, and then here's our big rock here. Well, let's keep going with these small ones first. These ones, again, are going to kind of line up, lead in. There's some stuff on the shoreline here, some sticks and things, logs. And then we'll put in some branches for our trees too, but not yet. This is one of those things. There's a lot of these, so I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to kind of pick kind of important ones that I think add to the scene. You could come through here and do all of them if you want. I don't know if I'm going to have time for it tonight. So I'm already an hour in, but we'll see. We'll do as many as we can.
So you got all your cactus thorns put in last week?
I did. Yep.
We ended the show last week with about 300 more thorns to go.
I know.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you get it. We're
I
done.
am not going to be able to get this done. Yeah. I don't think I've ever done that before. Honestly, I can't remember a time when I've done that where I've just been like, okay, well, we're
You
not
get
going
it.
to finish it. But
Right. Yeah, I don't think we have. I know you've gone back and touched things up, but not like
I don't.
had left
Only
it
if it's
hanging.
been like something like where I obviously missed something
Right,
major,
right.
then I've touched it up. But most of the time, they are what they are. After the show, people ask me that all the time, and I'm like, no, I don't. Don't work on them. It's probably one and done. It is. It is what it is. Now, if I'm doing it for, something else, and I like a studio work or something like that, then yeah, I do come back in but I don't film those. Like those are just like I'll work in several sessions instead of one long session. It's very unusual to do painting like this for me. Well, not anymore. I'm used to it by now, but when I first started doing YouTube, this was not the way that I would normally work. And some of those paintings really kicked my butt because, you're, as a studio artist, you're used to coming across challenges, and what you usually do when you have a challenge is walk away, go get a, cup of tea and think about it, set the painting up in your living room, look at it for a couple of days, and then you figure out what you need to do and come back to it. Well, you can't do that on a live stream video, So, it is kind of an unnatural way of working in some ways. I'm going to use this liner just to kind of put in just a few little details in this cliff face back there. I think that'll help things along.
You're touching it again.
I know. I said I wasn't going to, but I think this will help finish it off. Okay, there we go. So most of those back ones done, and that's about the top quarter or so, if this is the halfway mark. So the top quarter are all kind of in that general size, and as they get farther away, you half the size. So let me I've talked about this before. We'll do it really quickly here on an example sheet. But you've got your, here's our river area. This is our mountain area, whatever. So this is our river area. Here's our focal point. So if you do, your lines like this, you could have a boulder quite large in this area. And then if you, whatever size that is there, if you just make another line there, then the next rock would fit in between those if it's the same size as this one. And then so on. And as it gets in, it gets smaller. So another way of doing this without having to have everything in a straight line like this, because it can be hard when you've got a rock here and a rock here, is to say, okay, this one here is halfway to that point from the bottom, right? So if I've got my rock that I think is generally going to be the same size as this one, I know that if I make this, take this rock size and cut it in half, I know that this rock is going to be that size. And then I can put it anywhere I want on this line, on the halfway mark line. So I can put it over here, and I can know that that's the right place for that rock. Now, this rock here that is half again from this one is going to be half this size. So I'd be doing a rock this size somewhere along in here or anywhere on that line. And if it's bigger or larger, that's fine. But we know that all those rocks that are going to be in this area, if they're going to be, you know, around the same size, they're going to be half the size of the one on the halfway mark if they're on the quarter mark. Okay, so you just do that as you go up. And each time that you go, if you half this distance, you half the size of your item. So here's my item. So my next rocks are going to be this size, all in through here. Okay, then again here, they're going to be half this size. So they're going to be that size. Half again, they're going to be that size. Okay, and so it makes it really easy to create this depth. If you just keep that in mind, you just mark it, you know, mark your item in half and then figure out that is the size of anything that is halfway to the horizon line. Make sense? Hopefully? Okay. I know I kind of did that fast, ran through that fast, but I've explained it before.
I can play it back in like half speed. Oh,
What?
the size.
Oh, I was like, what?
I'm saying it slowly
Okay,
when you play it back.
check.
I'm not saying it in a wail.
I was worried about you. I'm not sure what was going on there. All right, I think I'm going to use my 3/8 inch angle now because these rocks are going to get bigger. Still using the same color. And let's go ahead and do one more kind of flat one here. And then there's a big one right here in the middle, just offset. Comes down like that. And there's a couple rocks in front. This one is quite large. This one over here, quite big. As we get down here, these ones are getting more round on the bottom just because we're looking down on them. We're seeing more of the top of them. I'm not really sure exactly where that changes. It seems like it changes somewhere around the halfway mark and down, where they're kind of more straight down, or at least on an angle down, so they're looking more rounded on the bottom. All right, then I'm going to get some of that blue. I'm going to just do these outlines of these rocks in here. I'll probably come back in and define them a little bit better and highlight them, but just kind of going around these little rocks in here that I'm seeing down at the bottom. Marking out around some of them. All right. Very large one right in here. Make this one a little bit bigger. And there's a lot of rocks kind of clustered together in this area, all kind of tumbling over one another. This brush is not the best shape for some of these rocks. They're really rounded. It's kind of giving me more angular shapes, but hopefully when I do my highlights I'll be able to kind of fix that. They're all pretty smooth river rocks though. The tops are pretty rounded. Really pretty. Okay, so you can see we've got this kind of line going there. We've got a line going here. I'm going to get a couple more in this area here that I missed. How's chat doing tonight? You've been kind of quiet on questions and stuff. Nobody else got any questions
no,
tonight?
there hasn't been any other questions other than should somebody order out or cook? The answer is order out.
Always.
Always.
We're bad about that lately, now that we don't have kids in the house and it's just Mark and I. We're like, do we feel like cooking? No. 90% of the time.
So it's not,
unless it's something we want to eat the rest of the week. Then it's
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
And it's also not so much the cooking,
is it cleaning up?
it's the cleaning.
Yeah.
I enjoy cooking. I enjoy, we've got some good recipes we've had over the last 30 plus years.
Right.
But yeah, those dishes.
No.
We're not rich enough to throw them away after one use, so.
And I'm just lazy enough that if there's only a couple of them, I'm just like, we'll just leave them there
Yeah.
till there's a sink full, and then I'll do it. And so we have dirty dishes in our sink pretty much 90% of the time now.
Which is fine.
I know it's it is what it is.
We don't have anybody over,
Right.
and the dog doesn't care. He can't see inside the sink anyway, so.
That's one good thing about having our kitchen not in the attached to the living room. When our last house before this one had like the kitchen was visible from the living room at all times, and I hated it because it was just like anytime there was anything on the counters, I just felt like I should not be sitting down watching TV right now. But now it's in the other room, so I don't see it. So I'm like, whatever.
Hey,
Out of sight, out of mind. There we go.
your biggest fan has joined.
Noah! How are you, Noah? She was painting some butterflies the other day. I saw in a picture Mama sent to me. Yeah. I like it. It's our granddaughter.
Gets that from her people.
She's pretty cute.
She's all right.
Adorable. Finally got my granddaughter. We had 3 boys ourselves, so I have 2 granddaughters now,
Yeah.
all within a month of each other.
Yeah, so 3 boys. Then the first grandchild was a grandson.
Right, which is awesome. We love
Which is
him.
Liam is incredible.
He's amazing.
And then
And then it was just abundance of riches.
Nathan
like,
make it like, hey, we're having a girl. Like, oh, awesome. And then Jordan and Courtney like, hey, we're having a girl.
too.
All within a month.
What? That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And when we do video chats, they just
Oh my
just
gosh.
love it.
They're
Love
so
to watch
cute
each
together.
other.
Yep. If they're not around, she'll ask
We're those
for each
people.
other. Huh?
Also, we get chatty about our grandkids.
I know. Sorry. Yeah. Don't start. Okay, there we go. So just doing kind of some horizontal reflection lines. You know, there's like shadows from these rocks. So any of the bigger ones, I'm going to kind of come through here with this. Like this gray is sort of thinned out now. And sort of just kind of go in my water underneath and make sure there's a little bit of a shadow under some of these. Doesn't have to be fancy, but just, you know, just a little something in the water underneath. A few, again, keep them horizontal. This area looks like a hot mess right now, but I promise it'll get better. I'm gonna dip this back in the water. Just make sure my brushes that are hanging out off to the side here are not getting dried out. I don't worry about these ones. These ones, they're kind of almost better the more scruffy they get, but your good brushes you don't want to dry with water in them or with paint in them before you want to wash them out really well. It's not like watercolor. You gotta clean your brushes with acrylics. Okie doke. Let's do now. Let me see. What size brush do I want? I'm going to have to go back to my small one for my highlights on these rocks. Although there's not a ton of highlights on these back ones here. They're pretty much okay. These ones here are the ones that I'm trying to decide if I want to use this. I guess I could use my 1/4" blender. Yeah, might try that. I don't know if I'll get good edges because I kind of want some good sharp edges on these rocks. So we'll see how it does. If it doesn't do good, then we'll switch to another brush. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my Unbleached Titanium. And I want to get some of this original gray color if I've got any left. Mix those two together. This will be my highlight color on my rocks. And there's going to be 2 highlight colors. There's going to be one that's in full sun, and then there's going to be one that's kind of on the shaded side of the rock. So for the full sun one, I want to use this kind of warmer one, and then for the shaded side of the rock I might get some of that gray and add just a little bit of my blue to it. Get a little bit more of that burnt umber. There we go. We'll see. So this would be similar to this color here. Yeah, I think that'll work as our kind of shadow color. And then the highlight color will be brighter. No blue. All right. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right, so I'm just going to use this color with the highlight color. Come through. I might just be able to get away with this color and just kind of put it bright along the edge and then sort of scrub out the edges here. And I want to go right to the edge, so I do think I'm going to switch to my round brush again because I want to get right up on the edge of that rock. So I need to have a little bit more precise control. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of brush through these pretty quickly and give some highlights to some of these rocks. Just kind of keeping it on our highlight side, so the brightest part is facing that top and to the left. Okay. You're awfully quiet tonight, hon.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Doing okay?
I'm doing okay.
Hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
Been a long day of work. And you got another job to do.
Yeah, but I go to Oak Island as a reward.
Are they going to find the treasure tonight?
You know, it would be quite funny if they saved it for April Fool's Day to discover the gold.
It would be. That fooled me. All right, using that kind of blue color there on some of these, especially these ones that are kind of closer to the foreground here. I'm going to have more contrast. So I'm going to get my bright color and just go back in and highlight the top of the rocks that I want to be more in the sun. Bring that one down a little bit. Yeah, I feel like I went a little small on that rock, didn't I? It looks a little bit bigger in the picture, but I think it's all right. I get a little bit of white. So I want to keep, see when I'm overlapping here, I'm keeping just a little bit of that dark color each time so that I'm going to put my new color over the top. I leave that dark shadow between them, and if I kind of lose it, I can get a little bit more of that dark gray. I didn't mix up enough of that dark gray. That was our original rock color. And come back in and add some of that back in and make sure that I've got a good separation between my rocks. Like that. Okay. Oops, that one is dry already. I was trying to blend out that white, but it's completely dry. Okay. Coming back in with some of my lighter color here and hitting it on these rocks where I want a little bit brighter highlight. Just got a little bit of white mixed in with that blue and brown color that I was just using. You can see just by leaving that dark there, and we already kind of put a few highlights or shadows in the water, and we probably need to come back in and do a little bit more shadowing around some of these, but we're already getting, you know, the feel of these rocks that we need. So I'm liking how it's looking. So just gonna highlight the top edge there, and then get my kind of gray blue color to do the interior area. And this one has got some striations in the rocks, so I'm just going to kind of try to do that by sort of wiggling it while I'm putting in my shadow color, leaving a few stripes in it, and then coming back in with a little bit lighter color and doing it again. Yeah, okay. Get that unbleached titanium in white. Some of these rocks are nice and bright, well lit. This one is coming up over there. In my picture, there's a little bit of blue kind of peeking through right here, so I'll put that back in right there. Let me mix up a little bit more of this dark gray. So there was just a slight bit of purple and then the burnt umber. And pretty much kind of 50-50 burnt umber, and that blue, I think, was my dark rock color. How are we doing on time? Okay, got a half hour. I think we can get it done.
I'm sure you can, because you're pretty good.
Thanks. You're sweet. We're almost there.
You're pretty, and you're good.
April Fools. No. You get to decide which he was joking about.
Hope the kids aren't listening.
Well, you just said no, it was. So. Pretty sure she didn't dial in by herself.
You know, kids are pretty smart these days.
That's true. That's true. Never know. Yeah, Liam's like 5 going on 15. So,
Mm-hmm.
a smart cookie. Getting some white here. Okay. Yeah, that's working. That's working. Getting that kind of gray blue color here for my shadow side. Some of them you can leave some texture if you want. You know, some rocks have more texture. These ones are very smooth, so they're not as textured and craggy. But if you wanted to make these a little bit more textured rocks, you would do that dry brushing that we were doing in the water. So you would kind of drag your brush across and let it break up and create, you know, texture in your rocks. So, and some of these that are in the foreground, I might do a little bit of that, just a little. Because even though they're smooth, there is a little bit of texture in some of them. Going back in and putting my brightest highlights down. And you don't have to do that with white, and really I probably shouldn't be doing it with just white, but being lazy here. It's generally they're going to be kind of the colors of the rock plus a little bit of white for your highlight. Only the very brightest bits are going to be white. Some of this is just like little pebbles kind of sticking out. So just kind of doing some indistinct little markings there. Okay. It's amazing when you look at it from a distance too, so make sure that you're stepping back quite often because you know, as I'm painting here, I'm looking up at my monitor to see, and it's interesting how something that looks just, you know, okay to me in person here, if I look up at the monitor, sometimes I'm like, you know, you get that distance and in your perspective, and you can see that, yeah, that's working, you know, like it looks without even all the details in, it's working, you know.
Your eye is able to make the interpretation for you.
Right. Yeah, and you can't really see it when you're just looking straight down at your painting. You have to step back from it to get that feeling.
Just make sure you leave enough room for your eyes to breathe.
I stopped saying that after you started teasing me about saying that now.
I think it's pretty cool.
It's true. That's what it is. You're going to have to let your eyes breathe. All right, I'm making these little zigzaggy marks where I'm going to do these underwater rocks. And I may not even connect them. I don't know. We'll see. This far back, you know, I don't have to do all of them, but I'm probably going to do a few little highlights in the water, and I think that'll help make those make sense. So let me get some unbleached titanium. And then that underwater green there was that phthalo blue and burnt sienna and yellow oxide. And depending on how much blue I give it, you know, it'll make it a little bit more green. There we go. So somewhere in there, might go a little bit more yellow. And depending on how light I want it, I can just add more of this unbleached titanium. Okay, so let's see how this does. And I'm just going to do a few rocks under here. And I'm going to go in between my dark lines that I've already done and try to make these look like rocks. Don't want it so light that it's going to pull it out of the water, if that makes sense. So I want to keep it close to the color that's already in that underwater area. I think I'm going to make some of them kind of reddish. So I want to keep the value pretty close to what's already there. I don't want to go too light with it, because if I bring it too light, then it'll bring it up out of the water. I want these to look like they're underwater. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do some of these in here. These ones I'm going to get a little bit more of that green. And I'm going to define them a little bit more. So these are those underwater pebbles that are all kind of clustered up under the riverbed. And I'm going to go a little bit lighter than I need to because what I'm going to do is glaze back over all of this. So, whoop, I've got a hair here, not helping things. And some of them are being pulled out of the water, so some are kind of half in, half out of the water. But yeah, we're already kind of getting that look just by the colors that we're using. And keeping the values kind of dark or darkish, not too bright. And then it should just gradually kind of blend off into the blue where the water or the sky color is taking over. And then we're going to put a bunch of white highlights all over everything here, so it'll all kind of look underwater. Okay, I think we're getting it close to what I wanted over here. Let's keep kind of going. Here, do our little rock shapes. And these are small pebbles, so they're not large like the ones sticking out in the water. They're just little kind of connected little rocks. I need to get going because I'm running out of time here. Let me get my angle brush for some of these bigger rocks over here. Get some white, get some of that gray. Getting my darker color and just making sure that that bottom edge is darker. I'm going to get some of that gray-green or get a little bit of yellow and add it to that gray with the white. Over in here there's a lot of yellow in these highlights. Bird out there singing away. Cheep, 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 cheep. Yeah, we had a little egg fall out of our umbrella the other day. We were so sad. Little wren must have nested in our umbrella, and there was no nesting materials. That was what was weird about it.
Yeah.
But just a little egg fell out.
Yeah, I opened it up, and usually we'll have moths or
Wasps.
wasps and stuff like that. So I'm slowly opening it, looking for that, and all of a sudden an egg just falls out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Poor little
Yeah.
baby. Those little Carolina wrens like to hang around the house, so I'm sure that's what it was. He slept in that umbrella or she, yeah, that's true. Slept in that umbrella. Well, it takes two, so there's got to be.
That's true. But I think it's still coming there because they're leaving some nice stuff behind for us now on the umbrella
Oh, really?
too. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Okay.
Noah loves that you're painting rocks.
Oh, that's right. She loves rocks. Yeah. That's awesome. Yes, she's a good rock collector. We found an advent calendar at Christmas time that came well before. I don't know where it came from. We ordered it off Amazon or Walmart or one of those places, and it came like well before Thanksgiving, or well after Thanksgiving. I mean, it was supposed to be a advent calendar for Christmas, and I ordered it like several weeks before Thanksgiving, so it came like mid-December. So they got to open up a bunch of the rocks at Christmas time. I got one for each of the grandkids' families, and it was really fun. Noah's been into rocks.
Kind of like our Uncle Spency.
Yes, Muncie was very much into rocks. He had we're here in Arkansas, there's the Diamond Diamond State Park,
Yeah.
where you could go and look, you dig for diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that one very cold November. His birthday's in November.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so cold. Didn't find anything but a lot of what is that stone? Quartz. A lot of quartz. But it was fun anyways. We had a good time.
To take Noah.
Yeah, we might. Should probably have a blast. She gets a little older. If she's still into rocks, then who knows? All right, so just going back through. Pretty happy with that. So yeah, let's glaze this just with a little bit of light blue. I get a little bit of my sky color and a little bit of this. I don't want it too opaque because with glaze you want it to be transparent. So using the light blue with a lot of white in it, it'll, make it more cloudy, which is fine. I don't mind it being a little cloudy. So, but just keep that in mind. When you're glazing, generally you want to have it kind of a transparent or translucent color works best. And I'm just going to start with kind of a light mixture of this blue, and we'll start going over this area here. And then I think what I'll do is add a little bit of that green too. So add a little bit of yellow oxide to it. Yeah, that's good. And I'm just going to keep it in the area where I want it to look like water. And this can help also in that transition between the water and the rocks, so you can help kind of glaze those areas over and make your transition more obvious. A little bit of that glazing fluid helps to make this stick. So when you add too much water to heavy body acrylics have less binder in them. There's more pigment. That's what you're paying for. That's why they're more expensive, because the pigments are the most expensive part of your paints. And so, you know, if you're using, I'm using burnt umber in that, or burnt sienna in this blue here. So when you're buying high quality paint, you're getting less binder, which means when you add water to it, it's not going to stick as well to the canvas unless you add another binder back in, which is this glazing fluid, or matte medium, or glazing medium, or, you know, any kind of medium, acrylic polymer medium is going to work fine to be a little bit of a binder. So, all right, so I'm going to go in here, and I've got that light blue now, or that dark green blue here, and I'm going to glaze on my rocks and around these rocks again, and give them a little shadow in the water, shadow in any of these rocks that need a little help. Glazing is the secret weapon of every realistic painter, any kind of realism painter. When I learned how to do this, it was a game changer, because I realized that I could change my whole painting look just with this translucent paint. You do all this work, and then you want to, you know, go back in and change the color or something, and this is how you do it. You use this translucent color, and you can do all kinds of things with it without having to go back in and repaint every little thing. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So the last thing to do is just to add some little white speckles. Oh, and we need to add some branches to our trees up there. I'm glad I remembered that. That would have been something that I would have wanted to go back in and do. So I'm going to get my liner brush here and this gray that I've been using for my rocks. Add a lot of water and a little bit of that fluid, glazing fluid. I'm just going to quickly just flick in some. And I'm not going all the way to the bottom. I'm kind of trying to tuck these in to where the light part sort of ends. Okay, good enough. Do some over here. Now these ones we're gonna be a lot more obvious about. Take my time a little bit. Your branches are always going to get smaller as they go out, and make sure you give yourself enough room to make those branches smaller. You don't want to have them go, you know, large, and then super pointy, you know. You want to taper slowly all the way out. So if you know you're going to end here, you want to start your tapering way back here. That makes sense? Don't wait to taper out your branches right at the very tip of your tree. Okay. And just go down, tuck it down into my dark areas so I don't have to worry about hiding the start of my tree trunk or anything. Just putting in a few branches here. Quickly, don't overthink it. And just kind of do some Y shapes coming out. For the most part. I mean, sometimes the branches come down at you, look like they're kind of bent down, but for the most part, you're looking at a distance, you're going to see the upward out V shapes. Looks good. Like that. That helped a lot, didn't it? A lot of realism to that back area there. And then I think I'll use my angle brush just because it'll hold more paint. Angle brush, white, get a little bit of fluid on here. You could even use fluid white or fluid acrylic ink or something like that if you want to. Make it a little easier. But I'm going to turn the tip down and actually I'm going to start this way and just see if I can control it. This brush is kind of big to do this, so I might need to switch if I can't get small enough little dots with it, but I think this will work. Just gonna kind of skim it all through here and add my little white sparkles. This is gonna really help. Make sure if you need to go through and add any shadows under your rocks or anything like that, to do that before you do this, obviously. I'm going to switch to a different brush, so this one's giving me, here, I'll use a small round. I'm not going to use my liner brush because it's so long, it's going to be hard to control. So shorter-ish small round will work a little bit better for me. Okay, so here we go. One thing I do like about the angle brush is that when I do my dots straight down from the tip, they are perfectly round. So that is one thing that can be hard with a round brush. They want to kind of go flat on you. So I'm going to have all these little sparklies in the water. This is going to really help the look. I'm going to go back to an angle, but I think I'm going to get a smaller angle because I don't like the shape of those. Okay, let's get my, where is it? Pause, please. 1/4 inch angle, there we go. Let's try that one. Just that 3/8 inch angle was just a little bit big. Just felt like I was gonna do, yeah, this is gonna be perfect. You can see I'm getting much more round dots from it. I want to cluster it in like the areas where the water is pooling between the rocks and things. Oh, it's gonna be so nice. So nice. And lots of little dots. Now you could use a fan brush in this area if you wanted to, you know, do a bunch of these dots all at once. You could tap in with a fan brush or something. But I think I can get it. Just gonna go pretty fast. Try not to make them too big. That's the only bad thing. So I'm kind of going fast here, trying to get these all done, and end up getting them kind of big. If I tap too hard. Just control how far you're tapping. I'm going to turn it this way and just tap this way a little bit. Get some straight lines. Go along that edge there again. Well, why can't I get a straight line there? Okay, make sure I'm holding it straight. There we go. We already did this before, but we're just kind of coming back up and adding a little more sparklies. This will just help finish it off. You can wipe off anything that you know think got a little too obvious or whatever. Try to keep it random. That's the most important parts.
Are you going to add Bigfoot anywhere in the scene?
That would be fun. It'd be really funny. Cluster around the rocks a little bit too, especially like on the side where the highlight is. So I'm going to keep that in mind when you're doing this. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're right there. Okay. Right there.
Not too shabby.
Yep. Trying to get there. I think we got it close.
Oh,
to
heck
where I
yeah.
wanted. And you could use some glaze here. So in these areas where we're going over the translucent rocks, you can use a little bit of the glaze to kind of and reinforce that translucency. And there's some ripples in this area right here especially that I want to kind of do. So just tapping in that white, kind of going over that area. But a little bit translucent color there. A lot of sparklies in this area here. And there's some sticks and things in this place right in here too that I didn't do. So I got those dots a little bit big. Getting a little too fast with those. Let's keep them smaller. Keep them small. There we go. Okay. Much better. I'm sure I'm missing a few, 1,000, but you get the idea. You can get in here and, you'll have the reference photo to look at. You can add the sparklies as much as you want. Add a little bit more white highlight on some of these rocks. Right. And this white will dry a little bit darker than it looks right now. So if it dries and it's like way out, you know, way too bright, then you glaze it. So you just kind of have to go back and forth with the glaze and the highlights until you get it where you like it. But I think I'm going to stop there for now. It's close enough. Yeah, I like how this one turned out. I mean, for 2 hours, shoot.
Heck yeah.
We got some good realism out of it. So, hope you try it and let me know if you do. You can share it with me on my socials. I've got links down in the description to all of that. And let me sign it real quick here. I think I'll sign it with the light blue. Ooh, super chat. I haven't had a super chat in a while.
Super chat.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see if I can do this. If I remember how to get this on there. Yeah. So Deborah says, thank you
Aw.
for your tutorial.
Thank you, Deborah. Very sweet. Appreciate that.
Pretty awesome.
Well, we enjoyed bringing it to you. This has been a fun one. Thank you to my friend Brandon, who took this photo. He's allowed me to paint several of his paintings over the years. So he's
I'll allow you to
Very
paint
good.
as, whatever photos of mine you want to also.
what?
I said I allow you to paint any photos that I take also.
True. The end.
And we'll just leave it at that. Yep, that option is there.
That option is there.
True.
Very true. Okay, thank you guys for watching tonight. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, wait.
Whoa.
Wait.
Whoa.
Hope
We're
I
not
caught
out
you.
yet. Yep.
I caught you.
Yep.
Next week, get your watercolors. We're going to be working on
Those are cute.
the little butterflies. We're doing them really loose style. And if you have like granulating colors, it makes it even better because that's like one color. It's called Piemontite. It's really cool. This one is Lunar Blue. This one is Violet Tundra Violet. It's a Schminke color. These two are Daniel Smith colors. And then this one is Deep Sea Green. I went too dark with this one. I didn't like how it turned out as well. But, and then with the bunny, Goethite, and then Quinacridone Rose and Lavender, and we'll have some black pin and some Potter's Pink in there. So just telling you the colors ahead of time if you have them. Don't go out and buy them, but if you just grab whatever colors you've got. But I'll be probably using some specialty like granulating colors just to kind of get these fun effects where you get, multiple colors in one. But I'll show you how to kind of replicate that by kind of charging in other colors. So we'll do a bunch of like really loose butterflies and then do a little quick bunny next week with our watercolors. And you can also do those with acrylics. So the acrylics don't move as much on paper, so they kind of stay where you put them. The bunny will probably work fine with acrylics. The butterflies won't run and do the things that the ones that we're going to do will do, but you can still try it and see what happens. It's always fun to experiment and try new things. So that's what we're going to do next week, and I hope you guys join us for that. All right. I really mean it this time. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.